Hello, this is part 2 of the time management workshop presentation. We will be continuing off of where we left off on part 1. Please see part 1 if you have not viewed that presentation yet. So as we left off, there is a difference between urgency and importance, and when creating task lists, it's important to determine that difference. And here we have broken down urgency and importance into 4 different categories, and we will review each of them now. So the first zone is Zone 1, and this includes tasks that are both urgent and important. This would include tasks that are homework or tests that are in a few days, they're upcoming, maybe a midterm, or a project that is due very soon. The main danger of this task is that many people end up procrastinating these tasks and failing to properly prepare for them. We know that they're important, we know that they're due very soon and they're urgent. However, we have not properly divided our time, and we are now leaving it until the last minute, and we don't end up performing as well on these tasks. We don't end up showing our best work. In order to manage that danger, one should schedule these tasks schedule them into our calendars using big bold letters, maybe even highlighting them so that we do not forget about them, and setting little reminders for ourselves weeks before the exam so that we do not forget that it's coming up. It's helpful to review information each week before the task comes so that you are well prepared for it. And then you also want to make sure that you are checking that notebook regularly, and so that you are aware that that homework assignment or exam is due. Start over. Zone 2 are tasks that are important but not urgent. So these are semester projects or semester papers due at the very end. They are not due soon, but they are important. They're worth a lot of points, and they're crucial to getting a good grade in the class. So the danger is the same as previously on Zone 1, procrastination. When there is a deadline that's very far away and that's not imminent, you can continue to push it off and do the work later and keep telling yourself that you'll do the work later until that deadline becomes very close and that it becomes urgent and important and you have not properly prepared yourself. So you resort to crisis management to get that done, and you end up having to cram and spend 8 or 9 hours on your entire weekend working on that project or paper. So in order to manage that danger, it's important that you break it down. So large assignments like a paper can be easily broken down into smaller tasks, and that will be less intimidating to you as you have that deadline approaching. You will be able to initiate those smaller tasks more easily, and then eventually you'll be able to complete the large paper section. So maybe at first you might only look up resources for the paper, and then you do an outline, and then you do a first draft, and then a second draft. So these are smaller tasks that are easily completed. Zone 3 is tasks that are fairly urgent but are relatively low in importance. So maybe grocery shopping or returning a phone call to a loved one. These are tasks that we do want to get done that are important. Maybe we have some personal, paperwork dues concerns. So we would want to be aware of the danger, which is that we convince ourselves that these tasks are more important. They're more important than our academics or studying, but they really aren't. So returning a phone call can be important in a sense, but we really need to be getting our work done before we do things that are more free time. And in order to manage this danger, you want to adequately complete your work and be efficient about it, and then complete the less important items afterwards. So complete your homework assignment and call your friend back afterwards. Reward yourself with that urgent task, and then you will be able to manage that danger. Zone 4 are tasks that are neither important nor urgent. So you would want to be very careful of this zone. This zone is Netflix, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything that you do on your free time. This can be a very dangerous zone because they're more enjoyable tasks. They're more enjoyable activities. You be aware of that danger. And then in order to manage it, you want to schedule these more enjoyable activities during break times. Use them as reward for completing your tasks. So after you've done an hour of studying, take a break. Go on your computer or your phone and relax for a couple minutes, 10 minutes or so, and then get back to work and start completing the next homework assignment or project that you have on your to-do list. So this is a great way to reward yourself, or go and get a snack break, whatever you want to use. Now we will be discussing procrastination, and because procrastination can affect our time management, it's really important to consider what it looks like and what you can do about it in order to appropriately move forward in your education. So if you've ever had any of these thoughts, you've been most likely dealing with procrastination. So if you're telling yourself that you work best under pressure, or that you're just going to watch one more episode on Netflix, or you're going to just put it off until tomorrow, or, everyone's going to be late, so it's not a big deal if I'm late. These type of thoughts are maybe a person that's dealing with the perils of procrastination. Procrastinators do have great intentions, but they never quite act upon them. So they say they're going to do things, they make promises, they make personal goals for themselves, but they do not follow through with those actions. And they are masters at rationalization. So as you heard on that slide before, many people tell themselves that they work better under pressure, or that other people are going to be late with their assignments. However, these are not true statements, and they have just convinced themselves that these are facts and true statements, but they're not. It's also important to know that these types of people are going to be sabotaging their own happiness and success by continuing these actions, by continuing this behavior. They will not be seeing their full potential when continuing to procrastinate. And they also end up putting themselves down for this behavior. They tend to lower their self-esteem and perpetuate a self-defeating behavior, because they just convince themselves this is part of their personality. This is who they are. I'm a procrastinator, and then they just give in to this self-defeating behavior. And they think they're just lazy. They think that that's the personality they have. So if you are a procrastinator, if these descriptions sound familiar to you and you had several of those thoughts going through your head, here are some tips about what you can do to better manage your time and prepare yourself for success. So the first, what we would recommend is to do the worst job first. Whatever is most difficult in your day or in your week, try and get that done first. That way, the other task will not seem as daunting to you. You'll be able to feel better that really difficult project or that difficult class is done with for the week. We also suggest to break those tasks down into smaller ones. As I said earlier, those big projects due at the end, it's really helpful when one breaks them down into smaller increments, just doing the research, just doing the outline, just doing the first draft. That's going to really help you. You also want to make a public commitment to doing this job. Tell other people in your life about this project that's coming up, or tell them about an exam you have on Monday. Tell your friends that you're going to be studying this weekend so that you've said it out loud, you've made that commitment, and now they're going to hold you to it. And you want to plan the evening before. Do not plan the day of. You want to prepare yourself for the day. Have your books ready. Have your assignments ready. Know what's coming the following day so you can plan around it and know when you have your free time. You also want to identify personal goals for yourself. Set your reminders for yourself daily and make sure they're realistic. You do not want to be giving yourself, 8 to 10 tasks to complete in a day. That's not going to be doable, and you're going to end up, failing at completing the list, and then you're going to feel worse about yourself. So be realistic. Set, 2 or 3 tasks, depending on their size, for yourself to complete. And then study in groups. So similar to making a public commitment, when you're surrounded by people supporting you, you're more likely to engage in the task and complete it and do your best. So when you're studying in groups, you're going to be able to, get feedback from other people about your progress. You're going to feel more motivated to get that work done because you're going to have people surrounding you that are also trying to achieve that same goal. So I've mentioned this a few times, but it's a very important tip for those people who are intimidated by these large assignments. You want to break them down into realistic deadlines. Put these mini deadlines into your semester calendar or in your weekly calendar. If you have a paper due 1 month ahead, then you have a week to do each mini deadline. So that first week, you're gonna research your topic, and that's that first week, and that's all you have to do. The second week, you're gonna create your outline. So all you have to do is, take the research and develop an outline based upon it, and that's due at the end of that week. Then the next week, you have your first draft. So you take your outline and you expand on it using that research, using your knowledge. And then after you've had that first draft, come back to it, edit through it, and that's that last week. So you can really delve deeper and make sure that you have your best work, and so you will be able to review your completed work, and you'll have plenty of time before the paper is due. Another great tip for individuals who are trying to manage their time is to figure out when you work best. Are you a morning person or are you an evening person? You need to figure that out, because then you can plan accordingly around your other activities, your other classes. If you're a morning person, you want to make sure you get to bed early so you can wake up. If you don't have class till 10, maybe wake up at 8 and get 2 hours of work done before you head to class. If you work best in the evening, make sure you're working around that social calendar as well as those extracurricular activities. You also want to save the most difficult work for when you are most alert. So those are those daylight hours. Even if you work best in the evenings, try and do that work early evening before the sun sets. Studies show that the most productive work is done during those daytime hours. So try not to plan for late night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock study sessions if you want to get good work done. Another great tip is to make use of wasted time. There's a lot of time that we spend waiting in line, waiting for advisors, waiting for our professor. Maybe you have a break between classes. It's not a big break, but it's just an hour long. Whatever you have that's squeezed in between, make use of that time. So keep your school materials with you. If you have any books or anything, a computer online that you can access to do those short assignments, get those done in between. Carry around flashcards if you have an exam coming up, just some quick definitions. Maybe you have a study guide you created. Carry that with you throughout the day before, and you can study when you have that free time. Also, get organized. If you don't have your school materials with you, but you just have your planner, get organized. Look at your calendar. Look at what's coming up. Make a plan for the week or for the weekend, and figure out what you need to do. So make use of that wasted time. So some additional tips. Say no. Sometimes it's really hard to do this. Many people want to take on a lot of responsibility and extracurricular activities. We want to be involved with everything we possibly can. However, we just don't have time for it. Sometimes you want to pick up an extra shift. Sometimes you want to hang out with your friends and get dinner with them. But you really need to consider how important each of the things you're doing are before you agree to them. How important is that extra shift? How important is that 1 hour dinner with that friend? Or can you reschedule for when you're done with those assignments? So don't feel afraid to say no. People will understand, and that's why it's helpful to make those verbal commitments out loud so that they know you have a priority and you need to get it done. You also need to be flexible. So a lot of people get upset when they don't complete their daily to-do lists. And it's hard, but you want to be able to remember that there are interruptions, there are distractions, there's things you cannot plan for, and you might not be able to get your entire list done. So allow time for those unplanned events. That's why you will not want to make your to-do list purely things that are due the very next day, because there are going to be times when you're not going to be able to get everything done. Set those to-do lists a couple days before the due date. You also want to be clear about starting and stopping times when studying. I tell this to my clients all the time. You want to make sure that when you sit down, you know that you're sitting down for just a couple hours at a time. If you sit down at 6 o'clock at night and say you're going to study for the rest of the night, that's going to be a lot more intimidating than just saying you're going to be studying for 2 hours at a time or 3 hours at a time. And then once those 3 or 2 hours have elapsed, you know that you've put in a good amount of work. So make it clear. This has been the Office of Learning Services presentation for time management skills. If you have any further questions, please feel free to call or email us, and we will be able to answer any